Yamuna dhṛta-vratāsi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giravardhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtotarashata Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON founder-acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtotarashata Srimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Nahamacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navdvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Tulasi Devi Bhakti Devi Jamuna Mai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Sri Guru. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya O my Lord, Sri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, translation and commentary by Srila Prabhupada, Canto 3, the status quo. Brand new chapter 24, the renunciation of Kardama Muni. We'll do texts 1, 2, and 3. So they put 1. Let's see. What did you put on the board? Put 3? You put 3? Okay. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so I'll just say 1 and 2, and then we'll do 3 together. Text 1, Maitreya Uvacha Nirveda Vadinim Evang Manur Duhitarang Munihi Dayalu Shalinim Aha Shukla Bhivya Hritang Smaran. Translation: recalling the words of Lord Vishnu, the merciful sage Kardama replied as follows to Swayambhuva Manu's praiseworthy daughter, Devahuti. Should I be closer to this? Right there? Okay. Devahuti, who was speaking words full of renunciation. Text number 2, Rishiruvacha, Ma kido rajaputritam atmanang pratyanindite Bhagavang's take shiro garbham adurad samprapastyate. Translation: the sage said, "Do not be disappointed with yourself, O princess. You are actually praiseworthy. The infallible Supreme Personality of Godhead will shortly enter your womb as your son." Prabhupada's one-sentence purport. Kardama Muni encouraged his wife not to be sorry, thinking herself unfortunate because the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by his incarnation, was going to come from her body. And now together, text 3. dhṛta-vratāsi bhadraṁ te damena niyamena ca tapo-draviṇa-dānaiś śraddhayā ceśvaraṁ bhaja dhṛta-vratāsi bhadraṁ te damena niyamena ca tapo-draviṇa-dānaiś śraddhayā ceśvaraṁ bhaja dhṛta-vratāsi bhadraṁ te damena niyamena ca tapo-draviṇa-dānaiś śraddhayā ceśvaraṁ bhaja. Bolo. Ladies. dhṛta-vratāsi. You have undertaken sacred vows. Bhadraṁ te. May God bless you. Damena. By control of the senses. Niyamena. By religious observances. Cha. And tapaḥ. Austerities. Damena. Of money. Dānaiḥ. By giving in charity. Cha. And śraddhayā. With great faith. Cha. And īśvaram. The Supreme Lord. Bhaja. Worship. Translation: You have undertaken sacred vows. God will bless you. Hence, you should worship the Lord with great faith through sensory control, religious observances, austerities, and gifts of your money in charity. Please repeat. You have undertaken sacred vows. God will bless you. Hence, you should worship the Lord with great faith through sensory control, religious observances, austerities, and gifts of your money in charity. Srila Prabhupada's purport: in order to spiritually advance or to achieve the mercy of the Lord, one must be self-controlled in the following manner. He must be restrained in sense gratification and must follow the rules and regulations of religious principles. Without austerity and penance and without sacrificing one's riches, one cannot achieve the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Kardama Muni advised his wife, quote, "You have to factually engage in devotional service with austerity and penance, following the religious principles and giving charity. Then the Supreme Lord will be pleased with you, and he will come as your son." Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master is kindly forcing open my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. So, as we heard yesterday from Anuttama Prabhu, at the end of her lamentation, Princess Devahuti, she condemned herself for not taking full advantage of sage Kardam's Sangha, his association. Now, starting a new chapter, it's very seamless, the transition. Starting a new chapter, which is called the renunciation of Kardama Muni. In today's verse, Kardama recalls what the Lord had told him in order to pacify Devahuti. Now, although Prabhupada didn't purport that second verse, or that first verse, right? Yeah, first verse. One of the commentators that Prabhupada always consulted when he was translating the Bhagavatam, he had a book of 8 or maybe 12, at least 8 commentaries. And he would liberally quote Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. So Vishwanath, I found, by the mercy of, is Ashram Maharaj here? Yeah, anyway. Yeah, there he is. Ashram Maharaj shared with me his file of, it's the whole Bhagavatam, plus, it's, as you know, Prabhupada's Bhagavatam, and the continuation after 1013 of Prabhupada's BBT servants, Plus, it's got the commentaries of Vishwanath to every verse. So I was able to check out that verse. And so Vishwanath's purport to that first verse helps us recall what led us to this point in the Bhagavatam. And it's very helpful to keep the historical flow here. So, and there were certain points that Vishwanath had. And the first point is, he was recalling Brahma's request to his son Kardama, because Brahma is the Adikavi, he's the first created being in the universe, and he wants to populate the universe. So he requests his son Kardama, would you please help in this, my dear son? So Kardama, being a good, obedient son, said, yes, but Kardama, he wanted to do justice to the order. He didn't just go off, as we say, half-cocked, or he wanted to do a good job. So what did he do? And this is Satya Yuga, as far as I remember. So he meditated for 10,000 years. I mean, that's really taking the order seriously, right? Okay, I'm going to go into meditation. And the meditation was so intense. It was so deep that the Lord appeared to him after 10,000 years. And the Lord said, yes, what do you want? Now when the Lord appears before you, right, just like Dhruva Maharaj famously said, Svamin kritartosmi varangni. I wanted a kingdom greater than my father, grandfather, great-grandfather. I wanted a kingdom, bigger than anybody because he'd been insulted. But then he saw the Lord. Oh, Svamin, what I want was insignificant now that I've seen you. Just like broken pieces of glass now that I've seen in you a rare gem. So Kardama Muni had been asked by his father, please, you have to help me populate the universe. So to do that, Kardama knew he needed a wife, right? I mean, unless you're Brahma, right? You can't. Brahma, he doesn't have to do it the way we do it. So what would you like? So Kardama said, actually, I need a wife. But he said it dutifully. He wanted to please his father, and thereby please the Lord, who was coming in the line of Krishna Brahma. So the Lord's response in granting Kardama's request for a wife to help him populate the universe. So he said yes, and he said, look, you just go back to your ashram, and you just wait. It's already arranged. It's already arranged. It's already arranged because Kardama had pleased the Lord by the dint of his bhakti meditation. So he went back, and sure enough, along comes Swayambhuva Manu and Shatarupa, and Kardama Muni said, oh, please come to my ashram. And it was very sweet because Kardama is the Brahmin, right? And Swayambhuva Manu and his dear wife, it's the Kshatriya family. So it was like very sweet relationship. Prabhupada calls it in this canto, I forget the verse number, but he calls it bhakti-karya. Bhakti-karya, the very sweet relationship between the Brahmins and the Kshatriyas, because the Brahmins have the vision, and the Kshatriyas imbibe the vision from the Brahmanas, and they execute it. They make policy, and they make sure that the vision of the Brahmins, which is coming directly from the Lord, are executed. So Kardama Muni had faith that what the Lord said was going to happen. So he knew. He said, oh, yes, Swayambhuva Manu, and so Swayambhuva Manu said, actually, I've come to your ashram to offer you our daughter. Offer you our daughter. And she's a very beautiful daughter, and she's very qualified, and will you please accept her as your wife? So Kardama had faith. Yeah, okay. This is the Lord's arrangement. Yes, I will accept her. But I will have to say one thing. As soon as we have children, then I'm going to leave. And so Manu said, "Oh, yeah, okay, that's all right. Yeah, that's okay." So, yes. So the Lord's foretelling that that the Lord would take birth in Princess Devahuti's womb to enlighten her and all of us with Vaishnava philosophy, which distinguishes us from all material elements. So, they had 9 daughters, and this was after, going around. I mean, she didn't have an ordinary husband, and he didn't have an ordinary wife, right? She was so qualified, Devahuti, and she loved Kardama Muni, and so, and he was so qualified that he, talk about a honeymoon, do they have honeymoons in India? Anyway, so for the honeymoon, they just went. He went into his meditation and he created this whole aerial mansion, like a city, and they enjoyed in the aerial mansion. And then they came back, and then they had children. They had 9 daughters, but then Devahuti knew these daughters they're going to just get married. We're going to marry them, of course, and then I'll be all alone. What to do? So Kardama said, don't worry. I'm going to give you a nice son. And this son is going to be none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kapila Dev. Oh. So this appealed to Devahuti's desire, because she had, remember the last chapter, she said, I've loved you, but I haven't taken advantage of your association because you're a great sage. So the great sage said, don't worry, the Supreme Personality of God will appear in your womb, and he will instruct you. He will instruct you. Wow, Lord Kapila. Okay. So, so Lord Kapila, he's famous as Devahuti Kapila, right? Not the atheist Kapila. So he said, or he spoke Sankhya philosophy, which distinguishes us from the material elements. Who just walked in? Lord Sringadev just walked in. Jai, Sringa Bhagavan. And we're going to hear, or we did hear, in text 3. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. But the whole thing is going to change. Well, I'll just look at that verse. You have undertaken sacred vows. He was trying to encourage her. Look, you're such a qualified person. God will bless you. You should worship them now, but then she's got to do something. So this reminded me of in the Gita, in chapter 2, the contents of the Gita summarized, because in the first half, a little more than the first half of the chapter, Krishna's teaching Sankhya. He's distinguishing matter from spirit and how we're none of these things. And then there's kind of a turning point verse. We call it watershed in English. And he says, Esha te bihita sankye buddhir yoge tvimang shrinu buddhya yuktoyaya partha karma bantang prahasyasi. Thus far I've declared to you the analytical study of Sankhya philosophy. I've been speaking Sankhya. Okay? But now there's something more to do. Now listen to the knowledge of yoga, whereby one works without fruitive result. By acting in this knowledge, you will free yourself from the bondage of works. So it's not enough to know. We might have so much knowledge, so much gyan, but we actually have to put it into practice. Jai Gauranga Prabhu. Hare Krishna. So, yeah. So in text 2, there were 3 verses. Kardama Muni encourages his wife by telling her the Supreme Personality of Godhead will soon enter her womb as her son. As Kardama Muni was an extraordinary sage, seeing God after 10,000 years through meditation, so Princess Devahuti was no ordinary princess, fit to receive the Lord as her son. Jai Sri Sri Madhavasta Sakhi Vrinda. Hare Krishna. So in the last verse of the series, they gave me 1, 2, and 3 to do. Kardama continues to encourage and praise his wife, Princess Devahuti, but he also says there are things she must do. Look at that verse. You have undertaken sacred vows. God will bless you. Hence, you should, sacred vows, sacred marriage, such amazing vows to follow the husband. Talk about Sri Dharma. This is Sri Dharma to the max. She assumed the lifestyle of and she was a princess. She wasn't used to all this austerity stuff. She was of royalty. But she was so determined, to follow her husband, that she just, So then Kardama said, okay, Lord Brahma, my father, he wants me to help populate the universe, so we need to have children. So Devahuti said, yeah, but look at me. I'm all shriveled and matted locks and, maybe the body odor wasn't so good. And so Kardama, no problem. So by his mystic power, he made an arrangement that she became beautiful. Yeah. So there are things to do, things she must do. And so, they had those children, and then the Lord would appear as her son. But in order for the Lord to appear as her son, he says, you should worship the Lord with great faith through sensory control, religious observances, austerities, and gifts of your money in charity. Okay, so this reminded me of another Gita verse, 18.5. Jaggadana tapakarma natyajyam karyameva tat jaggodanam tapaschaiva pavanani manishinam. Acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance should never be given up. They should be performed. Indeed, sacrifice, charity, and penance purify even the great souls. I was just listening. Every day I listen to when I do my morning ablutions. It was February 4th. It was almost exactly, today's the 3rd, February 4th, 1976, almost exactly 50 years to the day. It's a morning walk in Mayapur. And Prabhupada's talking about how we should never think that we're advanced. I forget how this came up. But we should never think that we're advanced. As soon as I think that I'm okay, then immediately you're in trouble. You're going down, right? So pavanani manishinam. Yeah, what did I say here? I'm reading from my notes, if I can read them. Yes. Oh, yes. And then and Baladeva Vibhushan comments on that 18.5, just as fibers, this is so poetic and right on, fibers exist within the stem of a lotus, these three activities, sacrifice, charity, and penance, contain knowledge that purifies the heart and elevates one. Those activities contain knowledge. Mystical, huh? How wonderful that these activities, sacrifice, charity, and penance, done in the mood to please Krishna, provide deep realization. So if even an extraordinary Vaishnavi as Princess Devahuti has service to do, right, to please the Lord, how much do we Kala Yugans, this was Satya Yuga before, how much do we Kala Yugans, as Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj likes to say, Mahaprabhu gives super mercy to the super fallen. I like that. Super mercy to the super fallen. And he does. Mahaprabhu, he gives us the Yuga Dharma, right? Triteya Dhyayaton Vishnu. In Satya Yuga, it's meditation, and then in Treta, it's sacrifices, and then in Dwapara Yuga, it's punctilious deity worship. But in Kali Yuga, hey, school's out. We can see in Panchatattva. Hey, school's out. You guys aren't qualified. Just chant Hare Krishna, please. Can you do that? And by the way, there are rules. There are rules to follow to get the full benefit. It's like when Prabhupada initiated me. The only time I exchanged words with His Divine Grace, but that was enough. So he initiated me. And this is, I was living at New Vrindavan at the time. And, but Prabhupada wasn't coming to New Vrindavan in July 71. I joined in July 70 in Boston. And in July 71, by then I was traded to New Vrindavan. We were like traded in those days, remember that? Traded to New Vrindavan. So, but Prabhupada wasn't coming there. So Kirtanananda Maharaj said, Prabhupada is not coming, but you and Stan, and Paul, it's time for you to be initiated. You're following the rules, you're serving cooperatively, you're chanting 16 rounds. Okay. So we drove up to Detroit. Most of us saw Prabhupada for the first time in airports, right? Because Prabhupada was always, he was flying in and out like Narada Muni, you know? So anyway, that's a whole scene, but I'll just get to the initiation part. I wasn't initiated on Friday, July 16th, but it was the next morning, Saturday, July 17th, 1971. It's on tape. I can still hear yeah. So you've probably seen pictures, those of you who didn't see Prabhupada in person, you've probably seen pictures of the microphones next to Prabhupada, and there were strands of beads on the microphones. Because Prabhupada, he would chant, or he would consecrate, he would bless our beads. Right? He would chant a whole round on the beads. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And then Pradyumna, who was the Sanskrit editor, Panditji, he would call your name, your birth name, Richard Hall. So I heard my name. I came up. Now, when you looked at His Divine Grace, you couldn't fathom who you were looking at, right? I mean, you've seen this on the memories, and you couldn't fathom it. who you were looking at. I mean, you're just getting this vision of, because to look at Prabhupada was like looking at the ocean. You can't fathom how deep and grave the ocean is. And at the same time, as you hear Prabhupada initiates say, he was looking right through me, right? Eons of karma, and so that was stunning. So after he said, what are the 4 rules, how many rounds, and then he took my beads. That's not my. Most of us lost our initiation beads on traveling Sankirtan, right? It was wild and woolly. So Prabhupada, he had the beads, and he said, so your name, Suresvara, means controller of demigod. You are Suresvara Das. Because my name means controller. So he just really drew out the Das. Suresvara Das. You are servant. And then, by then I was totally stupefied. I was looking at Prabhupada. I could barely breathe. I was like, and Prabhupada saw I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. I was just frozen. So he had the beads in his hand, and I was about as close as that camera, and he held them out. And because I couldn't move, he just started rattling the beads in front of my nose. Come on, take your beads, come on. Like, snap out of it, kid, So it worked. It snapped me out. I took the beads, and then I crawled away in that direction. I just crawled. And then the first thing I said to some devotee was, "What's my name?" But the real thing is Das, right? that's the name. So Prabhupada, he knows how to handle us. That's how he handled me. And this was true in the very beginning. To wean the first followers, that was in 71, right in Detroit. But in 66, how did Prabhupada handle those wild, Westerners, mlechas, yavanas, born to wean us off? How was he going to wean us off? Prabhupada himself, you could hear in the recordings, he would say, I thought as soon as I said the regulative principles, you would say, Swami, please go home. So he knew that there was a way to do it, there's a way to get us to follow the rules. And you can hear it on those 66 recordings, that it's really just long kirtans. He's having, at the storefront at 26 2nd Avenue, he's leading long kirtans, and he knows why the people have come to even chant. He knows that they're just trying to get high. That was the whole motive. And that was the preaching, stay high forever. You've seen, stay high forever. But Prabhupada knew that the mantra would purify those first followers. So all those other motives would drop off, and they'd get a higher taste. Vishaya vinivartante niraha rasya dehinaha rasavarajang rasopyasya parang drishtva nivartate. Although the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense objects remains, but ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste. So he knew we'd get a higher taste in life. And here's for example, how it happened. Prabhupada did that. He was able to get people, give them the higher taste. Not by stressing the rules and regulations. He mentioned them, but he didn't stress them. He didn't harp on the taboos, on the don'ts. He stressed the do's. So do chant Hare Krishna, do take Krishna Prasad. So after 6 weeks, one Howard Wheeler, English professor who became Hayagriva, he went to Swamiji and said, he had a big, large body, big booming voice. And he said, Swamiji, I've been chanting Hare Krishna for 6 weeks, and I still haven't seen the universal form. That's why they were chanting. They wanted these psychedelic visions, right? So Prabhupada, we call this crazy questions perfect answers. Prabhupada knew just how to handle them. He said, that's all right, you keep chanting. Keep chanting, it'll go away, don't worry. And it worked. And then the first initiation was on Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja Day, right? And that was September 8th, 1966. Then he had another one 2 weeks later in Radhastami, September 23rd. Then he had another one in October. And then, after a few months, they still didn't really understand. Prabhupada, he would tell us, I tricked you. I tricked you. He got them addicted to chanting Hare Krishna and taking Krishna Prasad. And then, on November 24th, we know the date because of, you'll see why, 1966, one of the first initiates said, Swamiji, what, you said there's rules? There's something, you said something about rules and regulations? So, you know what Prabhupada said? Very good boy. I thought you'd never ask, right? I thought you'd never ask. So, the next day, it used to be posted right in back of, the hall where the Mahajis make the garlands. But I guess, I don't know where it is now. Maybe it's over the TOVP in some Prabhupada wing. They have a little museum there. Yeah. So you see enshrined, and this is enshrined in many temples. November 25th, 1966, all initiated devotees, right, must give up all intoxicating habit. That's the first thing, because everybody's, getting stoned. Give up all, must avoid all illicit sexual connection. No unnecessary sporting, don't mix intimately with non-devotees. It kind of reads like a mini Hari Bhakti Vilas for the Lower East Side of New York City. So they read this. This is what they signed up for, although they didn't realize it, So Hayagriva goes, he was Hayagriva by then. He goes, sex only once in a month? Well, why bother? Very good boy. You got it. Oh, you got a higher taste. Now, Prabhupada, in doing this, he was following Rupa Goswami. Yena tena prakarena mana Krishna niveshayat sarve vidinashedhasyor etayoreva kinkaram. Yena tena prakarena mana. Somehow or other, get them to be Krishna conscious. And that's what Prabhupada did. He got them attached to the holy name and him. As they were hearing Shuddhanam, they were hearing holy name on the highest levels of Krishna prem, Prabhupada. Sarve vidi nisheda, all the rules and regulations of Shastra, evayor etta kinkaraha, they should be maidservants of this highest principle. So it's not that he was whimsically, not stressing the rule. He knew he had to do it in a way that it would all come from them. You say there's rules to this, right? So first he was in obscurity in 65 and early 66. And then he became Swamiji in 66. And then by 67, I teach these founder-acharya seminars. So they asked Prabhupada out on the West Coast, they said, now you're going back to India to get your health back? Because he had a heart attack and stroke, and Prabhupada said, yes, I have to. I need India's Ayurvedic medicines. I need the bracing heat. I need massage. And don't worry, I'm coming back. But still, they said, but what if you don't? What if you die in India? Should we get one of your godbrothers to come and teach us? And Prabhupada couldn't believe it. He knew by then that he was, by dint of his absolute surrender to his Guru Maharaj and the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that he was being uniquely empowered to turn people like us into aspiring Vaishnavas. So Prabhupada actually, when that question was put to him, a tear came down and he said, my spiritual master, he was no ordinary spiritual master. He saved me. And then he said, if someone comes and tells you one thing different than what I'm giving you, because he was being uniquely empowered to bring us along, you will be confused. Yes. He knew, even his godbrothers, his exalted godbrothers couldn't do what he was doing. Yeah. And Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj said this to Prabhupada up right above us in Prabhupada's quarters in 76 when he visited, returning the visit that Prabhupada had paid to him across the river in Devananda Saraswat Mat. So Sridhar Maharaj said, when Guru Maharaj sent our godbrothers to Europe, they didn't have much success. And they couldn't, because they found that people couldn't even consider following regulative principles. So we thought, what is this? Pritivitayachiyata nagarati. What is this? Every town and village, my holy name will be sung? Mahaprabhu's predicted in Chaitanya Bhagavat. How is this? We thought it must have been some kind of hyperbole, some exaggeration, some poetic fancy or something. But then, this is 76 now, so Sridhar Maharaj seen what Prabhupada has done. He's traveled around 14 times in 12 years, traveled around the world, thousands of disciples, so many temples and restaurants and farms. But then Swami Maharaj, Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj said, but Swami Maharaj, you did it! You did it! Therefore, Shakti-avesh, you have the Shakti of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You're Shakti-avesh avatar. Yeah. Let's see. So, yeah, okay. But there's still work to do. Just because we take initiation in Prabhupada's ISKCON Sangha, we got to go deep. We've got to go deep in order to go back to Godhead. We've got to go deep. We've got to get rid of our material desires. And the last example I'll give you of how Prabhupada knew how to handle us. I just saw this on a podcast. It was an interview with Hridayananda Maharaj, and he was saying Prabhupada knew just how to encourage us, right? And he knew just how to challenge us. So he said, when I took sannyas, he related to me in one way. That was 72. And then when he made me the GBC of Latin America, he started to, up my game. He expected more of me. And so then when he came to Latin America, he would say, oh, this is great what you're doing. You have such nice temples here, and there's a lot of book distribution. But now you've got to do more. You've got to do more. So he was encouraging, but then he was saying, and now then he'd raise the bar. Then you've got to do more. So this is what Prabhupada is saying to us in his Vani. He lives forever by his divine instructions, and the follower lives with him. So we all have the same identity, regardless of what generation we are in ISKCON. We all have we have Prabhupada as our core identity, foundational relationship. We're Prabhupada Anugas. So, okay, yeah, I just thought of one more. Our great god sister Vishaka Devi. When she went to the manor to be president of the manor, 5 years ago, I wrote her and I said, "What are you doing? You're not come on, we all love your photography and your writing and your speaking about Prabhupada. You're a Brahmani. You can't be an administrator at Bhaktivedanta, especially at a place like Bhaktivedanta Manor." And she said, "I know that, but I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to challenge myself because they had taken some kind of, they wanted to change the management, and so they went to especially the youth, the Pandava Sain at the manor, and they said, what kind of person, who would you like to be the next president of Bhaktivedanta Manor? And they said her. So she won. And so when she was notified by the manor management that we're inviting you to be president of the manor, she said, "Okay, Krishna, all right." So and then she just renewed. I think she just renewed. She's going to do another term. Okay, but we all have work to do, and so we got to dig in and get rid of those material desires. And now it's almost 9 o'clock, but maybe there's time for a question or comment. It's Pushpaban. I saw his hand first, my dear godbrother.
Suresvara Prabhu, thank you very much for your class. I think we all love his perfect imitation of the sound coming from Srila Prabhupada's voice.
You must follow. Don't imitate. You must follow. Yeah.
My question is in the purport to the 3rd verse of today's class.
Yeah.
Srila Prabhupada, Kardama Muni said, quote, "You have to factually engage in devotional service with austerity and penance." So this word penance was quite meaningful to me. It kind of jumped off the page as a former Catholic. Penance is activities and mentality that you developed because of sinful activities that you have performed. And I was hoping that you could say something about how Vaishnavas perform penance.
I think anybody who's an adult, or maybe even kids, because this place is it's such a place of misery, certified by the designer, Krishna, the creator, dukkhalayam ashashvatam. It's no walk in the park, it's no picnic, it's tough to live in the material world. And especially, what am I? I'm running 80 now. Holy smoke. So, how did that happen? I guess I didn't die, that's what happened. So, just like we had one famous singer in America, Frank Sinatra. The song was called "That's Life." That's what all the people say. You're riding high in April, you're shot down in May. But I know I'm going to change my tune when I'm back on top real soon. He's been up and down and over and out. I've been a puppet, a pauper, a pirate, a poet, a pawn and a king. I've been up and down and over and out, and I know one thing. Each time I find myself flat on my face. Now, he's a materialist, so what's he going to do? He's going to keep trying. I just pick myself up and get back in the race. The rat race. The whole world's a rat race, and the rats are winning in Kali Yuga. So, wow. I mean, I'm old enough to have made enough mistakes to to not really. What have I got to be proud of? Well, I'm proud that Prabhupada hasn't given up on me, right? Yeah, and that's really mercy. Prabhupada, despite everything I've done in this life. Yeah, so now I got lost and I forgot your question. So what was the question?
How, as Vaishnavas, do we perform
Oh,
penance?
how do we do penance? Well, there's no, I mean, we don't have to look for it. I mean, just our penance in Kali Yuga is Sankirtan. Sharing Krishna consciousness with others. And that's what Krishna says, there's no servant more dear to me than the one who preaches, right? Preacher most dear. So that's considered to be the greatest austerity, greater than all the, the meditations and all the other things he had to do to go back to Godhead in former ages. So and as Vaisheshika Prabhu knows, our world Sankirtan leader, that takes its different forms. Everybody can do it. It doesn't mean you have to be, out for hours and hours together, in an airport or a parking lot, or it means however you can do it. So now that I'm older, what do? I always carry a Gita with me, wherever I go. And I'm just praying, please send a Gita reader. That's my prayer. Oh, my dear Lord, I'm going on a japa walk. Please send a Gita reader. And he does sometimes. Or when I'm shopping, I send a Gita reader. Yeah. So we just give, and that's, it's more blessed to give than to receive. We've got so much mercy, we've got to give it out, and they're doing that big time here in Mayapur. So, is that okay? Okay. Anybody else? Let's give equal time. Spiritual equity to the ladies. Sri Kama, I know you have a question. You're like this. Are we done? Oh, that's what it is. Everybody's stomach is saying, hey, Suresvara, cut it. Srila Prabhupada ki